Testing 1, 2. Let's just do this, okay? What's up, guys? It's your girl Victoria. I'm back with another episode of the VL57 podcast. Thank you so much for being here. In the spirit of consistency, I'm back, but this episode is going to be kind of short. I want to share some tips with you that I teach on a regular basis. So many of you know that I am in organizational development. I also do corporate training, leadership development, etc., whatever. I teach a class called the Coach Approach, and it teaches leaders and managers how to also be coaches. And it talks about how when you have a leader, or when you're a leader of a group, or you're in charge of a group, that is a different role than a coach role. And a coaching role does not always have to be a leadership role. It could be one and the same, or it could just be, they could be separate. But what I love about developing coaches is that there are some very specific tips and very specific things that a coach needs to do in order to show up for their coachee or their mentee. One of the analogies that I like to use is that coaches give regular feedback. You're supposed to be giving feedback on a daily basis to whoever it is you're coaching, or a regular basis, so that they understand what they're doing is like the right thing, or they need to adjust and do something different. So feedback is happening daily. If you think about a basketball game or a football game or whatever your favorite sport may be, but I like to let's just use basketball. When you have a coach and the game is going on, the players are on the court and they're, doing their thing. The coach is on the sideline screaming things at them. Sometimes it's obscenities, profanity, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's encouragement. Go, get in the paint, get the rebound. What are you doing? Focus, that kind of stuff. That coaching from the sideline is considered feedback, because it's happening while the game is going on. It's happening in the moment. It's happening in that time frame where the person could be listening and paying attention and changing their behavior right away. However, if that coaching or that feedback is not being taken into consideration, or it's being ignored, or it's not getting through to the player because the player is focused on something else, then that's when the actual coaching happens. And in order for the coaching to happen, a timeout has to occur. So what happens when you call a timeout? You call a timeout, then you only got about maybe a minute to give some very specific and explicit instructions to the players in order for them to execute on the next play. So you call a timeout and you provide coaching when you either see that things are about to go awry and you're about to mess up, and you need to, your mentee is about to mess up and you need to really stop and correct them. Or you can call a timeout and provide coaching when you notice that they're on the brink of a great play. They're about to win the game. This next move could help them win. So you have to give very specific, explicit instructions in a very short period of time. People a lot of times like to feel like coaching requires all this time and you got to give hours and hours of instruction. That's not even how information is relayed. People aren't going to remember things that you say if you're talking for hours and hours and hours. But when it comes to coaching, you're supposed to have a very specific plan, a laid out idea of what it is the next steps are supposed to be for your mentee, so that they can execute. Either they can correct their actions and their behavior, or they can execute on those instructions and win the game. There's a model that I use when teaching this class, and it's the G.R.O.W model. And a lot of you may have heard of the G.R.O.W model before. So the G.R.O.W model stands for your goals, your reality, your options, and the way forward. So when you're providing coaching to someone in a leadership position, in a sports arena, in whatever the case may be, remember the G.R.O.W model. The goal is to help you and the mentee understand, what are we trying to accomplish here? What is it that you want to see happen from this interaction or from this action? What is the goal? Identify the goal. R is the reality. What do we have to work with here? What is the reality currently? How far away are we from the actual goal that we've just identified? What is in my way or what's around me that will help me get to that goal? That leads us to O, the options. When you look at your options, that's when you are assessing what resources you have, what people you have, what resources you need, what needs to happen in order for you to reach that goal. But also when you're considering options, you need to consider what would happen if you went an alternate way. Options are like, what all do we have at our disposal, basically? And it's kind of like you're pairing that with the reality. So when you're looking at the reality of the situation and how far you are from your goal, you have to look at what options you have and what resources you have in order to help you reach that goal. And then the W is the way forward. What are we going to do? Which path, after we've assessed what the goal is, after we've assessed what our actual reality is and where we are and how far we are from the goal, and after we've assessed all of our options, what is the way forward now? Which option are we going to choose? Now, the beautiful thing about this G.R.O.W model is that it can happen multiple times, because the way forward, or the way that you choose, depending on which option you choose, may or may not get you to your goal. So at that point, you'll have to reassess. You'll have to call a coaching timeout and give some very explicit instructions to your mentee or to the person you're coaching, and try a different route, try a different option. That's the whole point of identifying the options in the first place. It's not to say that there's one way forward. It's not to say that there's only one way that you can reach this goal, but it's to say, what does it look like if I choose option A versus option B? I really love the G.R.O.W model. I also use it when I do tarot spreads. It's an interesting, model to follow, even when you're consulting the tarot, because it's like, okay, what's the goal? What is my current reality? What are the options I have? And what is the way forward? I just think this G.R.O.W model is befitting in many areas of life. It's applicable, and it's not even just for coaches. Like, you can apply this coaching principle to yourself if you're looking for, a way forward in something, or if you're planning something out and you need help. I know a lot of people who are like life coaches, and they're not so much therapists. I guess they could be considered therapists too, but maybe they're just not licensed to be a therapist. But I don't know. I'd have to look into what the difference is between a coach versus a therapist, like a life coach versus a therapist. But either way, whether you're a life coach, whether you're a leader in leadership at work, whether you are, a leader amongst your peers, or you're coaching young people, whatever the case may be, try the G.R.O.W model. And I know this is a very truncated version of the G.R.O.W model, but look it up, try it out, and let me know how it works for you. That's really all that I have for you this week, because sis is busy. I got a lot of work to do, and I'm about to go teach this class. I hope that was helpful. But before I go, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast. You can stream the V-List podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. So whether it's Google, Apple, Spotify, you name it, make sure that you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and then also comment and let me know that you follow. I love to get to know who you are. Let me know in the comments, have you ever heard of the G.R.O.W model? Have you ever used the G.R.O.W model? Or do you think that this G.R.O.W model is going to be helpful for you in something that you're about to embark on? Let me know. Love you. Bye.